Hey guys, before we hop into your video, I wanted to tell you guys about my new partnership with BetterHelp. If you haven't heard of it, it's an online resource in which you can find your very own friendly local neighborhood therapist, no matter where you are in the world. You sign up, and within 24 hours, they match you with a licensed therapist that's right for you. And you can talk to your counselor every week via phone or video chat, and you also have the opportunity to text them in between sessions. As most of you guys know, I am also a licensed professional as well as a mental health advocate, and sometimes in these readings, very in depth topics come up that are very intricately related to mental health, and it's for that reason that I offer this resource to you guys. And if you know anyone that can benefit from them, or if you yourself can benefit from them, I suggest you take advantage of them. The information to sign up will be in the description box below, but let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, air signs, specifically Libra and Gemini. Welcome to your February as above reading. I am Princess India. If you are new, if you are family, welcome back, my friend. So I got this other message out, so we're going to see what is in the cards for you guys. Good Lord. That was very heavy. I don't know. I separated the videos because I don't know if that's going to be related to this, and then I just feel like it would have been redonkulously long had I kept them together. So I'm going to see if that comes up here or if we're going to have totally different energy. But since I feel a sense of release since having put that other message out, it may not be related. So we're going to ask Spirit to give us clear and direct guidance for Geminis and Libras. Please, Spirit, anything that they need to know, anything of utmost importance, I ask that come to the forefront in this here air sign reading. And I thank you in advance, Spirit. So we're pulling a card from the Work Your Light Oracle to pull light from your past lessons and experiences, to shine it on your present as well as into your future. So one card for Gemini and Libra, please, Spirit. One card only. I was about to be smart. All right. We have the Pillar of Light. It says your vibration is rising. You are the oracle. That is beautiful. So we're talking about, I can say ascension, but not in the atypical ascension sense. Like talking about your whole spiritual growth path. I cannot talk. Not speaking about your whole spiritual growth path, but and I kind of touched on this yesterday in water signs, but a transmutation, if you will. So it's more or less going through this process to where you're receiving energetic upgrades, in so many words. But I feel that this is also prophetic in a sense of it saying that past experiences are imperative. They're lessons, there's information, there's experiences that you're integrating, and it's more or less gaining a higher level perspective of said experiences. That's going to give you that objective view of your past, present, and going into your future. But I also feel that it's where I say it's prophetic in a sense of it's speaking of where you're going from here forward, right? So it's more or less talking about you being a speaker of truth in so many words, whether that's in a teaching sense, whether that's in whether that's in a teaching sense, or whether that's in a sense of I love how every time I turn this camera on, it's like all my notifications just go ape. Like it was dead silent before I turned this camera on. It was beeping in the other reading as well. But whatever sense it is, whether it's spiritual teaching, literal teaching, whatever the case may be, it's more or less you are going to be decoding and revealing ancient truths to people or to the masses, in so many words. So I feel this as a temporary fire, right? Proverbial fire. It's more or less a purification process that you guys are going through. And I've mentioned this with someone before. I don't know if it was in someone's extended, but I was saying that gold is purified in the fire. That's how the impurities are taken out. So if we put that within the context of talking about one's ascension to the higher mind, to and I talk about this in the WokeBook too. In the year 2019, I talk about this in the download that I got on New Year's Eve. But this is really talking about that process of where you're ascending to a higher level of consciousness, but everything that you've experienced up to this point is not, it shouldn't be discounted or nullified, so to speak, because, oh gosh, this is about to become a whole lecture. Because Gemini and Libra, there's sometimes misconceptions when we're going through our ascension process where we want to detach ourselves from our human, or we want to detach ourselves from our experience or our history. And a comment I read the other day is being shown to me right now. Loving how this energy is different. These readings are not going as planned. Feeling like we're doing earth signs again. What is it with the two signs reading together? Okay, moving right along. It's a comment I read the other day. One of my subbies was saying, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's the essence that I'm picking up on. But they were speaking about like how in therapy, they often emphasize the body and us, you know, being connected to the body and being in the body and the importance of the body and things of the sort. And she was saying, and I think it was a she, I'm not 100% sure, y'all, but that we aren't the body, right? And that's very true. However, we are souls having a human experience, right? You being a soul, me being a soul, all of us being a soul, the fact that our origins are spiritual in nature, that is who and what we are. We've mastered that. You know what I mean? It's more or less the soul, the spirit, all of us devoid of this body, we all know ourselves conceptually. You know, all knowing, all seeing, all being. When we are devoid of this body, there is no differentiation. There is no divide. There is no you and then me and them and then us. That doesn't exist in the spiritual realm, right? There's only one of us in the bigger scheme of things, right? So in the realm of the dyad, there is the is not, and then there's the is, but that's for good reason. You know, evil is necessary here in a sense. But when we talk about it in that context, and I have no idea why Spirit has me going this way, but I'm just following. But when we speak about it in that context, it's like in therapy, and I can say as a therapist, yes, in therapy, you do focus on the body. You focus on psychosomatic phenomena, how your mind and your body work together, the mind-body connect. And that's extremely imperative because we're here to have an experiential experience as souls, right? So the soul knows itself conceptually, but it doesn't know itself experientially. The only way one can know themselves experientially is in the absence of that which you are, right? Because it is in the absence of myself that I can see who I am, because I first must learn who I am not, right? If we put this within the context and the framework of awakening, it is us being here, right? The first lesson is realizing who we are not. Who we are not is the body, right? I am not my body. I have one. I embody my meat suit, right? But this is not who I am, right? It's not who I am. It's who I'm manifesting as, but this isn't all of who I am, and so the same for you, right? So when we speak about it in the sense of like using that kind of as an example, it's imperative that we don't neglect the body because it's something that we need while we're here. The goal of ascension is not and this is a very sensory consciousness, meaning matrix mind, human mind, ego based mind perception of what ascension is about. Ascension is not about being a godly being on earth, right? It's not that. It's not about, transcending your humanity to where you're floating on clouds and things of the sort. That's not what it's about. Our concept of what purity is very distorted. And if we go back to the Likert scale I spoke about in the earth sign reading, about two sides of the same coin, when I talked about like the spirit of pride, right? And how that can manifest in two extremes, but it's the same spirit. It can manifest as a megalomaniac, a person who's clearly like evil, like anti-Christ, right? But false piety, which is on the other side of that, it's like a savior complex, so to speak. That's not the opposite of, the antichrist. It's one and the same. They're on the same Likert scale, but they're just two extremes of the same energy, so they manifest differently. And most people are easily misled, because if we say like evil, megalomaniac, false piety, you know what I'm saying? It's like the spirit within itself is the spirit of pride. It's the spirit of anti-Christ, meaning Christ consciousness, like love, agape, things of the sort, and this being the polar opposite of that. So this energy can manifest as something seemingly, pious and pure and things of the sort, but the true essence that is operating underneath it is that of antichrist, saying that figuratively, right? So there's a need to be conscious of that, right? So it's not about ascending to, purge yourself of your humanity and try to be as less human as possible, because the more that you try to run away from something, you inadvertently end up running right into it anyway, right? And I say all of that to say that in reference to your past, whether it be people, it be your experiences, anything that's under that umbrella of shame and guilt, which are the most two toxic emotions to a human body. And I'm saying that literally based on research. It's like they say stress can kill you because of the influx of cortisol. So the same with guilt and shame. It literally alters the way that your neuro pathways are set up. It's a very dangerous, toxic emotion. It changes the way that your brain functions entirely, from your the production of your dopamine and everything, serotonin and all that good stuff. But anywho, anything that you're ashamed of, that you're trying to separate yourself from, that's a key sign of something that needs to be embraced and integrated. And so the same if it's just your shadow. It's like the key of ascension is not so much of running away from the things that you perceive to be bad, ugly, wrong, shameful, or what have you. It's bringing those things into the light and embracing them so that they can be integrated into your experience. Because who are we devoid of our histories? And I spoke about this in someone's extended yesterday. It's like I was saying that people think I'm nuts because I celebrate every single peril, every trauma, every disappointment I have ever been through in my life. And why? Because I wouldn't be who I am without it. Had I not been traumatized as a child or suffered with depression or, had suicidal ideations at a time in my life, had I not gone through that, I wouldn't have the experience or the character that I have, in so many words, right? So all of those things are celebratory because they make me who I am, and so the same with you. So I feel what this message is saying to Gemini as well as Libra is not to feel ashamed or guilty about anything that's happened up to this point, especially if behaviors have been changed, right? Your past does not define you. You define your past, because you're the one who gets to elect how it is that you're going to allow this experience to be rewritten in your present and to create your future, in so many words. But being able to overcome this Judas within, the Judas in the mirror, as I call it, being able to overcome this enemy of self is how it is we ascend to our rightful place, and you become a testament to other people who are also on this path and process. All right, Libra and Gemini. That's what's hot in the streets right now. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get to your cards. I dig it. I really dig it. So I feel a lot of what it is that I've said here today, I feel a great deal of this is going to start to become clear to you all this month. And then the things that I spoke on, like those things that fall under the spirit of pride in the Antichrist spirit. I know that creeps people out. In the Antichrist spirit, that's the influence, like, or if you want to call it narcissism, that's all the same thing. You know what I mean? It's all the same base level energy. But a lot of that is influencing our experiences at this time. And then with the Leo full moon on Sunday, on the 9th, I feel a lot of those things are going to be revealed and unearthed. Oh, wow. Well, that explains it. With oh, wow. With the message it is that I had recorded before this one, I was like, I don't know if this is going to happen today or this month. I feel with the Leo full moon, with that being not letting pride hold you back, being the theme of that full moon, I feel that this stuff is probably going to come to a head on like Sunday. Or, I mean, you know, full moon energy is 3 days before, 3 days after. So within the realm of like 6 days, so to speak, it's like balance is restored in so many words. Okay, Spirit, can we get a card? Because I know these people like, man, this is interesting. I love how this happened, y'all. That happened with Earth signs where I got one. Spirit, I'm about to pull a card, yeah. Okay. See when I get smart? Oh, and you want to be funny. You wants to be funny. Okay, let's see here. Isn't this interesting? I say that because Judgment in Reverse is here, and I just legit named the other reading. Well, it's not a reading, it's just a message. Judgment Day. All right, so the theme for the month, we have the Three of Swords. When we're talking about the Three of Swords, we're talking about the mind attacking the heart. And this is a deeper spiritual context to this. I love how these readings are coming out. It's a deeper spiritual context to this, Libra and Gemini. Meaning this in the sense it's an old, I don't know if I still have it on Instagram, but it's an old Zen Buddhist story where it is a devotee who is asking his guru, why is the mind always running when the heart wants to say something, right? So whenever you want to speak from the fullness of your heart, why is it that the mind starts going bananas, right? And I can say I experienced this with the message I put out prior to this one, the video that I recorded about the whole little Libra message. That happened to me, which is why I was like, I need to turn the camera on and just start talking, because as I'm writing down what Spirit is saying, right, that's coming from my heart space, my mind starts attacking it with logic and reason, right? It's like, that doesn't make sense. That's not what the Seven of Swords means. The Seven of Swords means this. Well, what about the thing that Spirit told you about it last time? That can't be Spirit. Spirit would be taking swords. Like, that's literally what my mind was doing. And I was like, dude, okay, let me just start talking, right? So the whole thing is here, I feel that's a similar experience of what you guys are dealing with this month. It's more or less learning how to overcome your mind or master your mind, in so many words. Those of you who are into pathology, if you're a life path 7, you know what I'm saying? We're talking about mastering your mind so that your heart can take the rightful place, right? Your heart, you know, symbolically speaking, is the seat of the soul. It's like that's where, you know, your inspiration is coming from in so many words. It's that connecting agent. Even if we go back to what we were saying over here, and that's something that comes out with Uranus and the dice of resonance, is when I talk about you're a walking miracle, heaven on earth, spirit and bone, a walking paradox, right? It's not about electing one over the other. Gemini, this is why your energy came up yesterday in the dice of resonance in the water sign reading. It's not about choosing one over the other. It's bringing two together where two become one being, the ultimate transfiguration, right? That's what mastering your mind is. It's your mind, ego, realizing that it is a servant, right? If we go back to what I was saying before about us being spiritual beings first and foremost, being a spiritual being means your spirit has authority. However, the way that and the way that I've always heard it told to me, right, is like our soul, and I'm going to use, you know, masculine terms here so nobody get their panties in a bunch, but it's like your soul or your heart space is a gentleman, right? So it's not going to impose its will on other people because that's not the heart's stilo. So the heart is just patiently waiting for the day that the mind realizes that it isn't truly in authority, right? Now, that's symbolic of the epic shift that we're going through collectively. Like when I use things such as like the end of last year, the end of 2019, when all the readings came out, like with the judgment and the four horsemen of the apocalypse and things of the sort, all of that is allegorical for what's occurring energetically, right? And what's occurring energetically is a shift in consciousness, meaning that many are graduating from the sensory consciousness that's blind with pride, right? It's like the human brain thinks that it knows everything, right? But it's like spiritual realm is not going to impose its will, because to walk this path or to be in tune with this energy, it's a choice that one makes. One has to choose to say, okay, soul, I'm going to allow you to take, you know, the position of your rightful authority, and I'm going to put the mind under submission to you, right? Prior to that, we are under the submission of the mind. This is getting so deep. Gemini and Libra. Wow. Because it's like, it's all of the symbolism here. Because even when we talk about like the devil card and like being in bondage, like the whole Adam and Eve thing, being in bondage to the devil, it's like that's masculine, feminine energy, like two energies in one form is what the integration that's happening here, the reunion of mankind with themselves, right? With the divine feminine collective energy. But you're in bondage to the devil being sensory consciousness. That's what sensory consciousness is. That's what the matrix is. It's the human mind, right? It's this, you know, me, this is mine, you're over there, that whole separatism thing. And this is all going back to November, dude, because I put a reading out. Well, it wasn't a reading, it was just a message that I put out in November of why pride comes before a fall, right? And I got so much hate mail for that, for that video. But it's like, that's everything it is that I'm seeing. That's everything that it is that I'm seeing come full circle here. Like, this is all talking about this ascension process, this shift from sensory consciousness to the higher consciousness, the Christ consciousness. That's all this is talking about, dude. Because even with the Six of Pentacles in the reverse in the past influence, it's like what that's saying to me is there was an imbalance here. It was being on the right path, going in the right direction, but it was a misunderstanding of what was really being done here, right? And I feel like collectively, the reason why all of this wounding stuff is coming to the fore, why people are being triggered and different things of the sort, is because it's almost like a renewing of the mind that needs to happen. And I talked about that in someone else's reading too, where I said it's like there's two awakenings. It's like there's the big epic one when you're like, poof, oh, wow, I am more than my body, right? But then there's another one that happens. And ironically, this is something that me and my ex-husband actually talked about because, you know, my ex-husband is Christian and he preaches and stuff. So he was talking about this in the sense of when people first get saved and how they're like on fire for Jesus, right? And like they're condemning everyone to hell. It's like, you go to hell, you go to hell, you go to hell, everybody goes to hell, right? But he was saying how that's like the passion that, you know, you're so excited to be saved that you have the, you know, the fervor for Christianity and you want to save everyone. And I was like, yeah, and that's very true. That is a stage, but it's not just in Christianity. It's in all spiritual disciplines. I find this because even under the umbrella of the New Age community, I see it too. And it's like in that, before you have that second awakening, it's like at first when you're in that zealot stage where you're so excited about all of this new information that you have, and it's like, oh my gosh, my life doesn't be so hard. Things are starting to make sense. The more that you learn, it's like one has to be careful because that's usually in that area with any, you know, spiritual discipline, you know, that you can fall into that pride and that self-righteousness. And the reason why that is because these spiritual concepts are being interpreted with the sensory mind. And that's the dyad, egoism. It's still, you know, I know more than you know, or that's not how you do that. This is a certain way that you do that. And these people, they're not awakened. Those people over there, they're not aware. You know what I mean? And it's the whole judgment and pointing fingers thing. But all of that is intricately related to an inherent sense of worthlessness. Because it's like, honestly, when you graduate past that point, you literally don't give a shit. You don't care about what other people are doing or how they're doing it or what they're talking about or what they're doing because you have more important things to be concerned with. However, that is a very important part of the process. Even I went through that. It's like you have to go through that because once you graduate past it, you can have compassion for people who are at these different stages. You're not going to call them stupid. You're not going to call them dumb. You're not going to say that they're ignorant and talk down to them because that's still a spirit of pride. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to do that because you have compassion because you know at every stage you've been there. You know what I mean? It's going to make you kind of giggle a little bit because it's like, oh, that's so damn cute. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you're aware of what's happening, you don't even speak out on stuff like that, nor do you try to condemn people or even try to correct them because it's a level of understanding unless they come to you. You know what I mean? So it's not going to be like, oh, you're wrong and, you know, you need to do this way. Unprovoked. You know what I'm saying? I have no idea, Gemini and Libra, why this is coming out like this. This is so fascinating to me. But whatever the case, you guys are coming to a place of balance now because there was still things that were not necessarily like, I don't want to say like, well, yeah, I would say it's an imbalance. It was a lack of understanding, but I feel like you guys are coming into this understanding, and the understanding that you're coming into is what this Three of Swords is representing. It's new information to get you to understand what the next level of this is. It was never about running away from, you know, your body. Because I often say, like, you know, you can't sanctify the spirit through the flesh. And a lot of times we end up approaching things like that. However, it's necessary to do that. Because I say that with like spiritual tools. It starts with tangible things like crystals and sage and stuff like that and cards. It's like, because at first you may need these things to get you in tune with these energetic signatures of stuff. And as you start to master your craft, you no longer need the tools because you know how to tune into the frequency. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like this is a graduation for you guys, in a sense. But with this judgment card, this being the block, it's like, for me, this feels like it's still the shame and guilt feeling. Like, how can I say it? It's like always like, and it's still kind of like a self-sabotage thing too, but it's deeper than that. It's almost like feeling Like there's been several opportunities you guys have had to overcome this hurdle, but it's almost like, and this may relate to that video I put up before this, because and I said this with somebody else too. It's all, I think it was Taurus, no, Virgo, I don't remember, whatever, that's neither here nor there. But the whole thing I'm seeing is it's almost as if like blindness, but in the sense of like something external, like people not wanting you to see or making you doubt yourself. It's like I already doubt myself, hypothetically, right? I already doubt myself, but when I start to get confidence, it's like somebody coming and like speaking fear into your situation, like something like that. So like say and wow, this is where it comes into this false piety kind of energy. It would be like a person who means well, right? It could be either a person who means well or like somebody who might be a little jealous or something. And it's like when you try to step out to do something and you're like, oh, I got this really great idea for a YouTube channel, right? I think I'm going to start it. And they're like, I don't know about that. You know that they have those scammer people who, do X, Y, Z. And I don't know about that because you're going to just give them people all your information like that. And what if somebody like Googles you and they stalk you and, and then you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. So you don't do it, right? But because of who this person is or how they're saying it or how it is that they're communicating it, even though it doesn't necessarily like, and resonate would be a sketchy kind of word because it resonates more with that guilt shame side of you. It makes you feel bogged down and bad about yourself or something like that. It speaks to that side of you, but it doesn't speak to that part of you that brings life, that makes you feel proud and makes you feel empowered and makes you feel full of joy and like you can conquer the world. And this verbiage that's coming up is literally like how this person speaks into your life makes you sin, which I equate to error. Error meaning out of alignment with light, right? Things that are not in service to light. It's like it's a disservice to light. They speak in a very sensory, right? Conscious way of being. So whatever this person or these thoughts say, it always brings you back to ground zero of limit, lack, not enough, if that's making sense, right? And that's been the whole thing, that's the block. But the thing that's intricate to note here, whether this is your own thoughts and fears, right? Or this is someone outside of you speaking into your life, it's fear-based energy. This isn't like, because judgment upright, we're talking about ascending to a higher state of being. This energy being in the position of your roadblock has been preventing you from ascending to a higher state of being. Seeing this above the Three of Swords, right? This could, for some of you, simply be your own thoughts and needing to get a handle on that because they're fear-based thoughts. And when I say lower vibrational, it's not in the sense of it being like negative per se. It's low vibe, meaning that it's more reflective of the 3D realm. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still that understanding of high vibe, low vibe manifesting in 3D. You know what I'm saying? Low vibe is it's strictly on base level Maslow hierarchy and needs level 1, right? We're just talking about survival of the fittest. I need to get ahead. There's not enough in the world. It's either you or it's me. You know what I'm saying? And this whole domination and control and war and you know what I'm saying? Like this whole lack mentality and toxic masculine energy. And we're not saying this about masculinity as in gender men. I'm talking about the energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like being fixated on those things and operating from that. It's like thoughts like that or people whose perceptions are solely based in that. That's what I mean when I say like low vibrational. And that's what it is that I'm seeing here is it's energy that's reminding you of what you're lacking and who you are not. You know what I mean? So that's been the whole block here for you guys. But when we're talking about what the possibilities are, we have the Page of Swords and the Nine of Cups. And that simply says to me, and how we round out this 33-minute reading, is literally, when we're talking about the Page of Swords, it's mastering your sword. The Page of Swords is, synonymous with a child, because you think about a child being trained up in so many words, right? You have your sword. Your sword is your weapon. What is the sword symbolic of? The human mind. There's a light side of the sword and there's a dark side of the sword, right? High vibrational, low vibrational. Christ consciousness, sensory consciousness. It's having the humility to step back into this state of the page and say, I have yet to master my mind. In order for my wishes to be fulfilled, my mind needs to be in service to my heart or my soul essence. No longer will I partake in low vibrational thought space, fear-based thoughts, right? Now, of course, not snap of a finger type of thing. This is the source of the imbalance, but this is something that's going to take practice. It takes personal accountability. In order to gain dominion over your mind, that means you have to be present, aware, and conscious every second, every minute of the day within yourself. Meaning, every single time a fear-based thought comes up, you have a choice in that moment to either minister to that thought or to push it out. And granted, it's hard work at first because our brain wants to suggest all kinds of stuff to us, just like mine was suggesting to me. That's not what the Seven of Swords means. That's not what Spirit told you last. I was like, shut up, dark side of my brain, right? So what we're talking about here is personal accountability and you being conscious of your thoughts. That's why I always stress the importance of not spending too much time in the past or fearing about the future, worrying about what happened back then, because neither of those things you have control over. The future, inadvertently, you do in the present, but the past we can't change, right? We can change our perception on it, but we can't change the literal past. But when you're present and you're mindful of your thoughts and your doings, that's how you gain dominion. I can get even deeper with this, Gemini and Libra. The greatest trick, right? And I have that in the last chapter of Motherfuck Twin Flames that came out before the woke book. It's like that is the greatest ruse and trick that this world has played on all of humanity, is making you think that everything that you're looking for is either back there or it's in the future somewhere, when it's right here, right now. It's like, if you want to find God, you want to find heaven, you want to find freedom, you want to find deliverance, it's been hidden in the place that no one ever looks, and that's in the present moment. The here and now. That's where everything's hidden. Hidden in plain sight, right? Anywho, we're going to go ahead and throw the dice of resonance so you can ask a yes or no question. And then after that, I'm going to pull the cards for you guys extended, where we're going to go into each of your signs individually. Well, this was fascinating, was it not? I enjoyed every minute of this. Goddamn. We have Leo, we have Moon, we have Libra. Look at that. All right. No is the answer to your question, and we have family. So Leo, Libra, Moon, no, and family. And we are going to throw the dice. Don't have no name. Ooh, we have Moon again. Oh, duh. The Leo full moon on the 9th. Doy. Feminine energy. Oh my goodness. And then we have the number 11. So here's the thing. And then we have Aquarius. Oh my goodness, that is so crazy. So Aquarius, if you want to throw yourself in this reading, you can, because you are an air sign. So here's the deal. How I mentioned in the beginning when we were talking about the feminine energy, that's what threw everything off kilter, right? Like the heart space, right? I liken that to the Holy Spirit in another one of the readings. I can't remember who it is at the moment. But the reason why, again, where the balance comes in, and I said this in the woke book in 2018 and 2019, talking about this transition that we're going through, is like, it's not to say, oh, smash the patriarchy, or, masculine energy is all toxic. It's not that at all. It's an equilibrium. It's a balance that's happening, because the whole issue, and what a lot of people talk about, like with the 13th zodiac sign and all this other kind of stuff, all of these things are allegory for what it is that has happened collectively. And it's speaking of the energetic realm. It's the simple fact that feminine energy, not vagina feminine energy, but it's like feminine, the energy, right? The polarity, right? The is not, right? It's like that has been, in a sense, wiped out by, a patriarchal way of being. However, like I talked about those different stages of awakening, this had to happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if we would have never existed at a time in ancient times, like ancient religions were matriarchal. So feminine energy was heavy way back when. Then you have monotheistic patriarchal religions that came up, right? Completely washed out the whole feminine energy, and for some's ethos hid the 13th zodiac sign, and so on and so forth. And now there's this resurgence of divine feminine energy, right? But it's not because the matriarchy is taking over again, right? It is the reunion of these two polarities so that they now can be on their own Likert scale and exist simultaneously. And the most beautiful thing about it is, are they not getting back together? And I'm saying this figuratively speaking, because even the whole twin flame union is yet another allegory of this huge collective energetic thing that's happening, right? So it's not just like two humans that are coming together. It's this energy, the two polarities of this energy having their own Likert scale. And the super dope part about it is they're not just going to be together. They're going to birth a proverbial child so that two can become one. That two becoming one is the birth of the middle way, right? We talk about water bearer, like Aquarius, water bearer. It's like, if you look at that within the illustration of Jesus in the Bible, right? And him and the woman at the well, one of those stories. And, it's a really funny Bible story. He asked her, "Where's your husband?" And she's like, "I don't have a husband." And Jesus is like, "You got 5 husbands," right? It's the funniest thing. I was like, ooh. But anywho, she was coming to get water from the well, and Jesus told her that she could drink from a well where she would never thirst again, right? But that water is symbolic of spirit, right? So that's what we're talking about here. So that's how I look at, like, when people talk about like the age of Aquarius and stuff like that, that's the reawakening of consciousness. That's all in 2019 in the WokeBook, but that's what it is. It's a reawakening of consciousness. It's the rebirth of spirit. It's the birth of the middle way. It's the integration of all. But of course, as above, so below. So like these readings. So everything that's happening on a macro level is also happening on a micro level. So that is the ultimate mirror effect. It's the fact that, God created man creating God. Everything is reflecting each other. Everything that's happening in your life and my life, all of our lives, all of these things are reflections on smaller levels of what's happening cosmically. Again, don't know the reason why I'm saying all of this, but hey, I'm here for it. So anywho, so for the moon, it says, wait, where'd it go? There it is. All right. Moon, mother, feminine principle, law of polarity. How is your past being recreated in the present? How do you feel about yourself? How do you feel about your relationships? Mirror, mirror. And the number 11, which is so interesting with this whole Justice Libra energy thing going on. Your 2 major arcanas for this month are the High Priestess and the Justice card. Oh, wow. And that hits home. Where are you manifesting from? From love or from fear? You know what I'm saying, and what not, or whatever. So anywho, let me hurry up and pull these cards for you guys. Extended. Move you out of the way. So for Libra, I'm going to start with you guys. First card Libra has is the Emperor in the reverse. Then we have the 7 of Swords in the reverse. Then we have the 9 of Swords. And then, wrong card. Then we have the Hanged Man in the reverse. For Gemini, the first card you have is the 2 of Pentacles. Then you have the Ace of Swords in the reverse. Then you have the Temperance. And then you have the Knight of Swords. And I'm going to pull your hidden aspects and enemies, and then a Dark Mirror Oracle. So first card is for Libra. We have the Barista. Gemini. Whoa, that is too many cards, Gemini. That's what your little lover's card symbolizes, Gemini, is that that reunion. I thought the earth signs was deep. Air signs, woo! Y'all speaking my language up in this piece, man. We have Side Hustler. Gemini, I think Scorpio had that, if I'm not mistaken. It was Scorpio that had that yesterday. All right, first card is for Libra. Second is for Gemini. Yeah, this daddy is 44 minutes long. There's no way that I could have kept that other part in here. This would have been like a 2-hour long thing. Lord have mercy. Libra. Come on, Libra. What you doing, babe? That's strange. I had to make sure there's something on my face. It feels like someone's doing this to my chin. It's really ironic. Okay. Go ahead and get this Libra card if I could. Spirit? No? Yes? Maybe so? I really like my cards to pop out, y'all. I really do. It just ain't working for me today. Oh, okay. All right, Libra, we have Calling the Storm. Compared to the other damn reading, yes, you did. All right, Gemini. Ooh, that was quick. Artificial Heart. Fascinating. All right, guys. Well, I am going over to Vimeo. Again, your readings over there are separate. So Libra has their own reading. Gemini has their own reading. So if you're about that life of your freaking face. And I will see you guys sooner than later. And if you want to watch extendeds for one price, join the channel or Patreon. Okay, love your face. Deuces.